Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over the top 10 fastest supercars in Grand Theft Auto Online for circuit racing. Now this is not to do with top speed, so if you're looking for that, I have a video that I just made about the top 10 fastest vehicles in a straight line. Go check that out if that's what you're interested in. But if you're interested in what are the best supercars to use for racing in Grand Theft Auto Online, you've come to the right place. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it, starting off with number 10. At number 10, we have the Pegasi Torero XO that was added with the Criminal Enterprises DLC. This thing is going to run you just under $2.9 million, and it is a really good supercar to race with, particularly on tracks with long straightaways. The Torero XO is all-wheel drive. Because of this, of course, it has very good acceleration, especially off the line, and it has an extremely high top speed, topping out at about 132-133 miles per hour, which in GTA is pretty fast. This car is available on all platforms, so if you want to race with it, no matter what you're on, you can actually use this thing. Now, the Torero XO does have one shortcoming, and that is the handling of this car is not very good, and this is not really the fault of the Torero itself. The Torero was given the wrong downforce values because it is a car that comes with an active spoiler stock. Now, unfortunately, the active spoiler just doesn't count, which means that none of these spoiler options count as adding downforce to the car, so the rear end of this thing is going to be pretty tail happy, and it will spin out on you a lot of the time. So make sure you're only really using this car on tracks that revolve around top speed. That is where the Torero XO is going to come in. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to number 9. And at number 9, we have a car that's the pretty much polar opposite of the Torero XO. This is the Truffade Thrax, coming in at $2,300,000. Now this is all-wheel drive as well, and it also has very good acceleration, especially off the line. However, the Thrax has a lower top speed, but it has much better cornering abilities. So on twistier circuits, the Truffade Thrax is going to be your choice over the Pegasi Torero XO because of this insane cornering grip, as well as the very fast acceleration and the all-wheel drive. The Thrax also has some good customization options to help make it a little bit more unique. You can make this thing really look like whatever you want it to look like, and it's going to be pretty quick around those twistier racetracks in online. And for only $2.3 million, this thing is actually a pretty good bargain, in my opinion. So anyways, that's it for the Thrax. On to number 8. At number 8, we have the Annis S80RR coming in at $2,600,000. This thing is kind of a combination of the Thrax and the Torero. It doesn't have quite the top speed that the Torero does, but it does have a better top speed than the Thrax, and it has, I would say, at least similar handling to the Thrax. However, the Annis S80RR is only rear-wheel drive, so that is something to keep in mind if you are racing in the rain, for example, or something like that. The S80RR has insanely good downforce. It does have, like I mentioned, that top speed that is just a little bit better than the Thrax, and of course pretty good handling. This thing's going to carry its speed very well throughout longer sort of corners. If you're on a tight track, I would still probably take the Thrax over the Annis S80RR, but if you're on a track that has some open straightaways as well as some pretty sweeping corners, stuff that's not too tight, I would say the Annis S80RR would be better than the Thrax and the Torero XO. With that being said, on to number 7. Now at number 7, we have a pretty old car. When I was researching this video, I was surprised to see this thing still up so high. This is of course the Dubachi Wagner, coming in at $1,500,000, which is an absolute bargain. That's the cheapest car on this entire list, and what you get with the Wagner is pretty awesome. The Wagner is kind of like the S80RR, except honestly a little bit better. This car is a little bit smaller than the S80RR, and is definitely lighter as well. It has very good acceleration. The top speed is around 126 to 127 miles per hour, which is pretty high. That is definitely above average for the supercars category. And coupled with the great acceleration and the insane handling that this thing gets because of its insane downforce values, the Wagner is actually a very good supercar to use in Grand Theft Auto Online for racing. Still to this day, this is a fantastic car. It's also got some pretty unique customization and another color option on it, which I think is pretty cool as well. Look into the Wagner if you've never owned one before, and if you're on a budget, the Wagner is probably going to be your best choice. At number 6, we have the Benefactor LM87 coming in at $2,900,000. Now the Benefactor LM87 is an interesting one because only on the PC platform this thing has a speed glitch, and it is to do with having more FPS. So if you have a high FPS PC, the Benefactor LM87 is probably the best supercar that you can use in the entire game for racing. A lot of people don't seem to know this, but the LM87 LM87 is very quick. Now, even if you're not playing on PC, this thing is still very fast. It is the 6th fastest supercar in Grand Theft Auto Online. Obviously, if you're playing on something that's not the expanded and enhanced edition, the LM87 is going to move up quite a bit to about 3rd place. The LM87 gets its speed by its cornering grip. This thing is insanely good when it comes to downforce. The acceleration is also pretty good. However, the top speed on most platforms, except for PC, is going to be a little bit weaker. So keep that in mind. The LM87 is good for twisty tracks with not a lot of straightaways, but kind of sweeping corners. Like if it's a bunch of 90-degree corners, then the LM87 is going to kind of let you down, I think, especially because it's rear-wheel drive only. But if the track you're playing on has longer sweeping straightaways, the LM87 is going to be the one that I would suggest picking up. With that being said, on to number 5. And at number 5, we have another benefactor vehicle. This is the benefactor Krieger, coming in at just under $2.6 million. This vehicle is all-wheel drive. It has great acceleration, especially off the line, but in general, the acceleration is pretty good. It also has a pretty decent top speed, around 128 miles per hour, which is pretty awesome. And it is the 2nd fastest supercar on last gen and PC. The Krieger's got some good customization, and it does have some points where it can rival the top supercar in the game. Again, on those twistier circuits with less straightaways. The more corners that you have, the better the Krieger is going to do in comparison to a lot of these other cars. Overall, the Krieger is pretty much a fan favorite for racing in this game. I would recommend picking it up if you don't have one already. Next up at number 4, we have our first HSW car. So this is exclusive to the expanded and enhanced edition. So if you don't play expanded and enhanced, you can completely ignore this and just go with the list without any HSW cars. This thing's going to run you $1.8 million plus an additional $1.1 million for the HSW, which is going to bring you up to 2.9 mil, which is crazy. And that's not even full HSW. You still have to do the stage 3 turbo and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be $3 million plus for sure. This thing is really good though. It does have an insanely high top speed. However, the handling on the Devastate has never been that great. Even on the regular old consoles, it's never been that great cornering wise. However, the top speed has always been pretty good, and with the HSW upgrade, it tops out at about 153 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. But you are going to lose a lot of speed in the corners because this thing just isn't that maneuverable. It's about 4 city blocks long, so it's not going to be that great on twistier circuits. However, it is still a pretty good car in general, I would say. Definitely look into this thing if you have it available to you. And the number 1 fastest car on last gen consoles and PC for racing in the supercars category is of course the Progen Emirates. This thing ranks as the 3rd best supercar for racing in Grand Theft Auto Online on current gen as well. So there you have it. The Progen Emirates goes for $2.6 million. It is insanely fast and it has some pretty good downforce. You can do some crazy mods to this thing as well within Los Santos Customs to make the handling just a little tiny bit better. The Emirates does kind of struggle on really twisty circuits, I would say. It is rear wheel drive only, so that tail end is going to come around on you a little bit with this thing if you're going around some really tight corners a little bit too fast. But on straightaway tracks with fewer corners or with sweeping corners, the Emirates is going to do really well. It's actually going to completely dominate pretty much because it is just such a good car. That's pretty much all I have to say about the Emirates. That's it for number 3. On to number 2. And of course, we have the Coil Cyclone 2 coming in as the 2nd fastest supercar around a circuit in Grand Theft Auto Online. $2,250,000 to purchase the Coil Cyclone 2 and an additional $475K for the HSW upgrade. Of course, this is exclusive to the expanded and enhanced edition if you didn't know that. Cannot get it on PC, cannot get it on last gen consoles. The Cyclone 2 has the craziest acceleration in the entire game. It is an electric vehicle. However, the only problem that I really have with the Cyclone 2 is the handling is a little bit weird on this thing. You're going to have to really learn how to use the Coil Cyclone 2 if you have access to it. It is a very good car in a straight line. Top speed is also pretty good. However, that handling is just very strange in my opinion. But it is still a very good car nonetheless. Definitely look into the Coil Cyclone 2. And at number 1, of course, we have the weaponized Ignis with the HSW upgrade, which is going to run you $3,250,000 plus an additional $500,000 for the HSW upgrade. So very expensive, but you are going to get the fastest supercar in the game undisputedly. This car is very quick. Tops out in the 140 mile per hour range. Great acceleration off the line. It is all-wheel drive as well. Very good through the corners, very good on tight twisty circuits. Brakes are pretty nice as well. Overall, the weaponized Ignis HSW is the best supercar for racing in Grand Theft Auto Online. Again, this one is exclusive to the newest generation of consoles. So if you don't have that, the Progen Emrys is still going to be your fastest car. Anyway guys, that's it for the fastest supercars in Grand Theft Auto Online around a circuit. Let me know what you thought of my list in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoy, dislike if you don't. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.